And I know I was working at Modern Family for a while with guys who were kind of joking, complaining about their wives spending so much money on things. And for men, it's kind of bragging rights to talk about your spouse spending a lot of money. But there's no world in which women can, my husband bought a Jeep he didn't need and some pot. It's like there's not really a great place to laugh about those things with people without women kind of judging you. But we just kind of had to work out a system that worked for us of, how to just try to make the money not an issue we dealt with every day.
And what would come up for you when you would, like in the very back of your head, the things that you couldn't say out loud?
I guess part of me feels like he doesn't really get to decide these things since I'm the one making the money, more of the money. And that's not necessarily true or a good way to think, and I sometimes think, have men been feeling this way a long time? I think there's just a different thing built into our society for when women who are supported by men have opinions versus men who are largely supported by women. But it's still an uncomfortable conversation, especially saying this right here into the radio with no feedback. I just imagine men and women at home with their jaws dropping going, well, I feel either women will judge me and think, why would you marry someone who isn't contributing, and feel very judgmental about that, or feel, well, shut up, you're lucky that you make enough to support the two of you, and men have been doing that for a long time. And there's just not a really great forum for this.
No. And you admit that also in your book, the feeling of like, shouldn't I have more control in decision-making because of what I'm bringing financially?
Yeah, like vacations. I just sometimes think, don't I get to decide? But then he'll have ideas and we'll do them and we'll have so much fun. He definitely is more of a partner in every other way, non-financial way, than anybody I could imagine. I mean, he's really involved in raising our daughter, and he's a great support and partner for me, and, reads what I write, and I love the work he does. So, if you could just take that money part out of it, it's all really good. But that money part is a strain.
Coming up, Cindy tells me about a relationship she's been in for even longer than her marriage, the one with her beloved therapist.
She's seen me through the whole thing. She's got like the whole parade of men. I saw her just in some moments where I'm sure she was just like, okay, now you're off track.
You might remember that the team traveled to New Orleans last month. We talked to people about the 10 years of rebuilding after Hurricane Katrina, and about some of the other things that have happened in their lives since, like running for political office, starting a new business, mourning a mother. One of the people I talked to was just beginning the adoption process when Katrina hit. That was delayed. But 5 years after the storm, she and her husband brought home a little boy from China.
We know where he was found. We know the orphanage he was placed in. We went to visit it. We met some of the people. But there are a lot of question marks. And I wish I had those answers. And I mainly wish that I could speak to his birth mom. I mean, I wish that I could send her a little picture of him.
The thing, probably what changed is Ian never did that. He never threw that around. He was trying the old, let's try to solve this problem before we go to sleep. And if I was running off to a hotel, which I would do sometimes, that's the new version of running off to your mother's house. I would run off to a hotel. So I think at a certain point, he also kind of threatened that he wasn't sure it was right. And that really scared me because he had always been solid and I had always been the histrionic one. And when he also let that in as a possibility, I realized how hurtful it was and that I shouldn't be just throwing that around.
Were you married when Ian first said that?
Yeah. It was several years in, I think, before he threatened that, and it was like, what? Really? You're not allowed.
You're not supposed to say that, right?
I can say I'm leaving, and you convinced me to come back. Yeah, it was scary to hear and to think it might be real. I mean, we've gone through some rough patches, and I don't even know. It was just when we were both out of gas, really. I mean, just not any one thing. Just sometimes it felt like we were so out of gas with just life and work, and sometimes you just need to say aloud how how frustrated you are, and then you're better to let it not be a seething secret, I guess.
So your book is called The Longest Date, Life as a Wife. And reading it as someone who's about to become a wife, it just reminded me again about how prospective the decision to get married is. Can you tell me?
Did the book make you feel nervous or more relaxed
No,
about
it sort of made me feel like, oh, you think that there's this work you can do to be prepared, but
yes,
that's this grand illusion. You just have to trust that you're going to be able to tackle things as they come.
I have found letting go of control is really the lesson of marriage for me. I didn't realize what a control freak I was till I had someone I was married to who I could not control. And I would say just, my own life, and especially being in the same house I was in before where everything was kind of ordered, and I feel like I was a total neat freak, but I wrote there. It was my kind of oasis. I was in control of it. And then this man, his things, this St. Bernard, now this child, we're in the same house, and it's so full of life. There's life in my life now, and it's big and messy and out of control, but it's what was missing. And it's not easy to embrace sometimes if you're used to being able to feel like you can have the answers and you can control it. You just can't. But that's the nature of love, and that's kind of what's great about it, is you end up going places and learning things about yourself that you wouldn't have otherwise. So it's just uncomfortable.
Cindy Chupack. She's currently working on a new HBO show starring Sarah Jessica Parker. It's called Divorce.